Hi Eli, same here. I'd love to hear your waking up story. So I just want to be clear that that's a story. So that's a waking up story that I can tell you as the character. So it's remembered, it's thoughts and words. But who is it that's experiencing that character? That character is something comes and goes and isn't a solid identity. And that character isn't the one that wakes up or gets enlightened. So basically, I was eating banana fritters I was eating banana fritters in Bali, and my life had just dramatically changed. I'd broken up with my partner, and we'd got a life together, a home and dogs, and I could only be there while being with him. I had I'm English, and I had an Australian visa, but dependent on us being in a relationship. And so my life just suddenly got blown up very dramatically. And I was in Bali, and I was in a fuck it mood. I'd done loads of spirituality and loads of inward looking and loads of nasal gazing and meditation. And I just did everything my body told me to do. If it said lay down on the floor, I laid down on the floor. If it said go and eat banana fritters, I ate banana fritters. And if I said go in here, buy this, do that, and I didn't regard money, anything. I just did exactly what I felt like doing. Not in a contracted way, but in a loving way, I just surrendered to something. If you do it in a contracted way, then it could be disastrous. So I did it in a loving way, and there was these tight contractions in my throat, and then expansives and tight contractions and expansiveness. And this has been happening for a while, where I kept tightly contracting and then falling in love with everything. That's what it felt like I fell in love with everything. And then I was sitting having banana fritters, and I think this had kind of happened a little bit before, but it just hadn't been recognized, or it happened before, but it hadn't been recognized. It happened, and then I couldn't even think about what had happened. It was a long time ago now. And I was sitting there, and I suddenly started thinking how beautiful the waitress was. And I was eating banana fritters, and I was having tea. It was for breakfast with ice cream. I was really doing everything my body wanted. And I started thinking how beautiful the waitress was. And I'd seen her many times. I'd gone there for breakfast a lot. And then I just was like, how have I not realized how beautiful she was? There was just this immense beauty. And then I felt that about the room, and then I felt that about the banana fritters, and everything became insanely beautiful. And then it was like my sense of being, so the sense of being inside the body, expanded. So that sense of being and the empty looking expanded, and it sort of felt like it was coming out of my eyes. So this isn't the character that felt like. It was that sense of I am and the empty looking, this instant sense of being. And then it felt like it was expanding, and then it sort of disappeared into everything. And my thinking kind of stopped. My thinking came back, but my thinking kind of stopped. So there was consciousness, but there wasn't much ability to reflect or to think. So it was kind of like I was a walking zombie for a period, but in a really beautiful way, really in love, that I couldn't really perceive past or future or anything, but the body still worked, although complicated actions were quite difficult, like crossing the road in Bali and lots of cars and movement was quite confusing. And I couldn't tell certain things. I remember this guy was laughing at me, so I just stood there laughing at him. And then after a while, the thought popped in, oh, he's mentally insane. And obviously I was being quite mentally insane in that moment too. I couldn't think things properly. And the thinking came back, and it integrated more into the person. But that period, it was like I became a real utter bozo, like a total child without the ability to think or have complicated thinking. But my body worked. And then I think my mind went a bit crazy for a day or two, or maybe that happened before, I forget now, it's getting so far away. And there was it was going really rapid, trying to work out what the hell had happened, really, really quick, quicker than you could listen to, and blah, 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 blah. and then it just kind of settled, and that shift, so it was like an energetic shift, so that feeling like looking is happening in everything rather than inside me stayed, and so it felt like I was everything. This moment was me, and then the character over time and the body has been digesting that. So my character and my body is still going through a process of healing old seeking patterns or old traumas, but also my character changed a lot. Like I was saying the other day, I'm so used to being happy now. Like my character, I still have things that come up and difficulties with other characters and arguments, but I'm so used to my base feeling being happy, and I forget what it must be like not to feel this well-being and this happiness and this vitality for life. But that's not it, that's the effect in the person. But I still have difficult emotions that arise, and I still find there's processes of undoing that happen in me. And maybe that's an endless thing, like maybe the person on the human level can endlessly expand. I don't know if that will ever stop. I really don't see the person as becoming an enlightened person. Yeah, so that's it. And I find that if there's been a really difficult situation, like if I just sleep or just spend time alone, I go back to that vital happiness on the human level. Yeah, and I think that's how we're all meant to be on the human level, is this like vital, like sense of well-being. But when we get contracted into that person, like our person can't recover, because every trauma that happens or difficulty that happens, the person holds it in for itself, like me, and it's just too much weight for the person. So over the years, the person gets heavier and heavier. Whereas when you're not identified with being that form, it's like the traumas or difficulties happen, but they come and go very easily. This is, I think you're quite new, Elle, but maybe other people that have been listening have heard me say this many times before, and I hope I don't sound too repetitive. I try to be really genuine, even though I'm saying things again and again and again, and I try to really feel them for the first time when I say things, so that I don't just become like a machine that's repeating. Like I want this to be really fresh. And like, because I've done this talks for like 8 years now or something, it's sometimes the same subject can come up again and again and again. Like I must have told the awakening story like, I don't know, 500 times, and certain stories so many times, and I try to really tell it not through memory, but through reliving it in the imagination and letting like the heart and the body speak, rather than like my remembered version of the story. Even though it's not me doing it, that's just the happening.